because it's watching and learning and acting that we're teaching them. And something that I've learned to just take it a little bit deeper is I did hear this phrase when I was growing up. Do as I say, not as I do, right?
Right.
But that is so wrong. That is so wrong. Because as leaders, they're going to do what the leader does.
Right.
And so as parents, it's important for us to teach them to do that, but to make sure we're doing it as well. Don't you agree?
You know, I agree on part of that.
Okay.
But on the other part, I kind of don't, because it's your perspective of do as I say and not as I do. Because some things I do, I'm of the age to do it.
Wow, that's good. Okay, keep going.
It's legal. And some things may not be expedient at that time. But so in that case, I can say, do as I say, but not as I do. But I think as parents, when we say that, we can explain to our children later. Because at that time, sometimes we're not in the right frame of mind, but we can explain what do as I say, not as I do. Now, if we're saying do as I say, not as I do, and we're doing things that are not positive but negative, we have to evaluate that.
And evaluating it, how do we know what's positive and negative when we're coming up in different households? Like, how do you determine what would be negative?
Well, let me give you an example what I would determine would be negative. If I smoke and drink and I tell my children, do as I say, but not as I do, and maybe do this in front of them, or some households, they're doing drugs in front of their children. I would say drugs, illegal drugs. Then that would be kind of negative, you know. So I think you got to look at every situation and determine what's positive, what's negative, what come out of it, because what may be good to me and okay with me may not be okay with you. Some families feel, well, if my children are of their age, what's wrong with them drinking, smoking? And so you have to go to each household and let them determine the outcome of that, if it's positive or negative to them.
Right. Okay. So as far as leadership for our children, would you agree that monitoring what's positive, what's negative would be something that we would not want our children to do at all, no matter what age they are? So if when our children become 21, we wouldn't want our children to do that. Maybe that's something that we should begin to change in our own lives then?
Yeah, I think so. I think we have to take a look at our own lives and see what we are showing not only our children, but other children. Because as your children have friends come over, or you out in the public, what you're doing, you're not only showing your children, but other children. So we have to look at our life and say, what image am I showing? Is this an image that I want to give out? Is this an image that's going to come back negative on me or positive on me? And do I care? Some people don't care. Do I care? And if we care, then of course we care the results of what we're showing. So if we find ourselves doing things or saying things that may not be appropriate at the time, then we have to make that decision ourselves to make a change.
That is so good. And that really just gives such a nice segue into the purpose of our talk today, which is balancing the heart chakra, which is all about love. So the reason why we're breaking down these subjects like this is all out of love. Because if we really love our children, we want the best for them, right?
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. We do want the best for them. And so we try to do everything we can that's positive. And I kind of stay on this positive and negative thing, because even when we're teaching our children or discipline them, we have to discipline them in a positive way. We have to teach them to redirect their energy in a positive direction. And sometimes, even if we as parents don't make the best decision at that time for the kids that they may feel, it may be the best decision that we feel. And we learn too. As life going, we learn. And when we find that we have made a decision that could have been better, the next time we do better. And as parents as a whole, everything we do for our children, we do it in love, and we try to do it because we love them. You know, when we discipline them, I'm disciplining you because I love you. At that time, that child, that teenager, whoever may not really understand, is because you want them to do better than you did. You want them to succeed. You want them to go farther. You don't want them to just say, when my children would say, Mom, I want to be like you or this like you, I would tell them, I want you to be better. I want you to get a higher education. I want you to do whatever you want to do. And that's another thing we as parents sometimes feel like we want to choose who and what our children are going to be or what they are going to do. And I feel we shouldn't do that. We should allow them to be and do who they want to be, do what they want to do, and just guide them along the way after a certain age. There's no set age to me, once they start making their decisions in life, we're there to help them and be there for them. When they're doing good, when they're not doing good, when they're high on the mountain, when they're low in the valley. As a parent, we're there to continue parenting and just at different levels. And as they get older, we step back a little bit. But my oldest will be 38. And she can still call her mom because I'm here for her. I'm not her best friend because I don't want to be her best friend. I want to be her mom. And in that, we have a friendly relationship. I love my children and have such great compassion when it comes to my children. And yes, hate to admit it, I have made lots of mistakes. But you know what? Never too big, never too proud to ask them for forgiveness if I did something to them or to get it right and make it better. As a parent, I don't look at what the child did, well, you did this and that, if it's a relationship thing. But as a parent, I do what I got to do to keep it moving forward, and let them know that they can always learn from me. And I try to set the example, even with the 38-year-old, as well as I do with my youngest, who is 22 years. So they will always be my children. I will always be their parent, and they will always have a place in my heart.
That's okay. So now let's really get into the nitty gritty of love. Now that we really only truly only dibbled and dabbled, and some of the things that block us from really experiencing true love with our children, because that really can go deep. But how have you grown into this extreme love that you have right now for your children?
Learning to forgive. First, forgive myself, because sometimes we don't have the relationship that we would like to have with our children because maybe something has happened, a situation, and we're waiting for someone else to come and say, I'm sorry or whatever, when that doesn't matter. If I come to you and say, I forgive you, would you forgive me? Learning to forgive. And once you forgiveness allow shackles to fall, get you out of bondage, because if you can't forgive, you're in bondage. Certain things you're not free to do, certain things you're not free to say because you don't feel it. And without forgiveness comes guilt and a lot of other things. So once I learned forgiveness, true forgiveness, I was able to move on with not only my children, but other relationships. But we're talking about children today and love with them. And that's how I got to where I am. Because even with things in my life, before they were even born, you see what I'm saying? You can get that stuff. You can bring that on to, you know how people bring negative stuff and baggage in relationships?
Yes.
You can bring that in, negative energy and baggage into relationship with your children. Nothing they had anything to do with, because your relationship with maybe your parents or your aunts and uncles, and you bring that onto that relationship with your children. So it's forgiveness. And forgiveness the root is deep. It's deep. It's generation. It's a generational thing. So with me, I didn't want to bring it into the generation with my children, and some things I did. So forgiveness is the key. When we can forgive, truly forgive, regardless of the past, we can do better in the future and of the present.
Okay, for some, because in order to forgive, that's probably another blockage that we have to get out the way in order to really truly love our children. So, do you have any advice for our audience on learning how to forgive?
The advice I would have is just take one step at a time and look at the situation. Though I guess the best thing to do would help me was those things that I had no control of. I learned to just let it go. And you can't control other people's feelings. You cannot control other people's emotions. And sometimes we want other people to say or do things that we feel that they should say or do, or to come and maybe say they're sorry to us or explain why this was that. But if they don't, you have no control over that. Let it go. And when I came to the point of life that I have no control of certain things, I let it go and just began to forgive. Because truly, we are not in total control of everything around us. We only can control ourselves, and with the help of God.
That is good stuff. I'm telling you. Yes, thank you so much. We're so grateful to have you on the show. We're running towards the end of the show. We're definitely going to have you back on because this is some good stuff. And you've got some insight here from your experience that's really going to help us get our stuff together and get our chakras in alignment.
Yes, I am so glad that you invited me to be on this show and appreciative for that. Thank you. And just remember out there, audience, forgive and love. Without love, everything we do is in vain.
That is so true. Well, before we go today, I'd like to just give some insightful words for you to hold on to regarding balancing your heart chakra. Because the words that we speak really are the seeds for the life that we lead. And the words that we speak comes from what we feel within us. And a lot of what we feel within us comes from words that we've heard or words that we've told ourselves in our mind over and over and over. It's a program that loops and loops and loops. So if you're in a situation where your heart just feels hard, especially towards your children, towards anyone really, because the heart chakra, it just goes, it's so vast how the energy moves. If your heart feels hard, if it feels closed, if you feel like you have trouble loving or forgiving, maybe it's time to reprogram yourself. And that starts with simple words. It starts with your self-talk. So just close your eyes. Take a deep breath in. Deep breath in. Let all the oxygen go through your body to every part of your body because our cells, they hold memory. And these memories are from words and experiences that we had. And just breathe it out. And tell yourself, I am love. I am light. I can forgive. I can forgive myself. I can forgive others. I can forgive yesterday. I can forgive today. I can forgive anything that happens in my future. Every day I'm going to wake up and take a moment to love myself and the things that I have around me. Love, truth, peace, light, comfort, compassion. These are all the things that you have. These are all the things that you are. These are all the blessings that are waiting for you to just claim them with your light, with your love. Balance is real. It's waiting here for you. Just accept it and let it into your life. And like Miss Jeanette Green said, take it one step at a time. Thanks for tuning in to Chakra Life.